How would you feel if you had £500,000 in your startup funding and you are working on a next generation AI startup? Our guest today didn't just raise that, he built a thriving AI company with it. As a co founder and chief product and technology officer of Vente AI, he has he has been looking into revolutionizing how recruitment agencies automate business development. With over a decade of experience in AI, blockchain, SaaS, he has led game changing projects for Coca-Cola, Gatorade, and even HMRC in UK. From securing investments to scaling startups, he knows exactly what it takes to turn bold ideas into real impact. And if you're ready to learn how to raise, build, and scale in the AI space, this episode is for you. Welcome to another episode of our Founders Podcast. I'm your host, Ash, and this is a show where I interview proven founders and industry experts who share their stories, strategies, and insights to help you build, launch, and grow your business. In this episode, I talk to Octavian, founder of Vente AI. So I hope you enjoy the show. Octavian, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Ash. Good to be here.
Great. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you would like to share with our audience?
I do. I do. So, innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. Um, I believe that to be true. I think innovation is the fuel for, for pushing humanity forward, really. And I think history has shown, like, many times, real facts that actually, back this statement. And to be honest, this is exactly what we're trying to do at our company, Venti AI.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to show, the industry that things can be done better, can be done more efficiently, more effectively, and just because they used to be done in a certain way up until now, it doesn't mean that there isn't a better way. Um, yeah.
Indeed, indeed, and I couldn't agree with you on this one more because it's like if you have guts to disrupt the industry, that means you will become one of the person who will do it because other people were just thinking about it, right? Not executing. So, thanks for that. So, tell us about Vente AI. What does the product do? Who is it for? And what's the main problem you're trying to solve?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what we're trying to do at Venti really is help recruitment agencies win new business.
Mm-hmm.
Business development is very competitive by nature, and the recruitment industry is no different. And the way we're trying to solve this for agencies is by combining automation of workflows that are time consuming with
Mm-hmm.
data intelligence. So we kind of try to do both things. And I like to think of ourselves as a data company
Mm-hmm.
um, that does automation of workflows as well. And the way we do so, we present high quality leads to our customers.
Mm-hmm.
We have about 200 sources where we get these leads from all over the places, and then we
Mm-hmm.
distillate that. We provide alongside with data intelligence, we distillate it, and then we package it and present it to our users. So in other words, recruitment agencies with us through Venti, they don't just get some random leads from all over the place. They
Mm-hmm.
get very targeted leads tailored specifically to their ICP.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, we also provide, like I said, the data intelligence, which helps them understand if that's really a company they really want to, engage with, and it's more likely to require their help. And the last thing we also provide is the right person to contact. So another part of their recruiters workflow is identifying the right person to contact who is in charge of that vacancy. And
Mm-hmm.
that's also very time consuming, and we have an AI agent that actually does this job for them. So all they have to do is just log in the morning, and then they see all those people that are ready there to be contacted. And we've gone like the whole process has improved very like tremendously over the last few months. We
Mm-hmm.
became more and more accurate. We're very happy and proud of all these iterations that we've taken. And in a nutshell, we are an AI powered platform that provides data intelligence, and we hope, so far up to date, we are shaving at least 3 hours a day from their manual workflow. But we're not we're planning to go even further. We're not stopping here.
Hmm. Interesting, interesting. And as you said that you're focused towards the recruitment agency for now, but nothing's stopping you to wider your circle or get into different paradigm. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I think obviously the key when you start in anything is to be very niche and very focused on a specific vertical, which is exactly what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't randomly targeted recruitment space. It's one of those spaces where innovation hasn't happened much in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there is the economical change, like I mentioned before. So it's more competitive. Recruitment agencies are competing with each other to get to the right customers. And there is a lot of potential here to innovate. And but once we nail this, and who knows where things will go.
Mm.
But for now, we like yeah we definitely want to focus on this, and we feel like there's a lot of potential here, and there's a lot of things that can still be done.
Got it. Got it. So let's talk about where the story actually began. Where did the idea for Vente AI came from?
Yeah, it's an interesting story actually. So, first of all, we've worked in the industry in different capacities, myself
Mm-hmm.
and the other two co-founders. But more interesting is the way we actually met, and we started working
Mm-hmm.
together. So, one of the co-founders that I met through Y Combinator Match School.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Y Combinator School, actually, a matching platform for founders, sort of like Tinder for founders.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite interesting because at the time I was definitely exploring use cases for AI automation and agentic workflows.
Mm-hmm.
And I had met a couple of people before Itamar, my co-founder, and it didn't go anywhere. So I met about, I think, 10 or 12 individuals, and he was actually the last on the list, and I almost didn't go, but I thought, I don't know, there was just, I guess, something about him. I was like, well, this guy's interesting, so you know what, let's just go for a coffee. It helped because he was like not very far away from where I was living. So and then we went for a coffee, and we've been working ever since. So that's
Mm-hmm.
the story. Like, that's how I met him. We started, obviously, working together on trying to define what this use case would be. Obviously, we needed something that could generate money pretty quickly. We weren't playing the long term, like games such as, like, setting like an AI lab or something like that, which is a very long term play. And then he also introduced me to our third co-founder, Cameron, who
Mm-hmm.
actually used to be a recruiter, did sales in recruitment. And we started exploring this idea together. Each one of us was chipping in, with their own experience and past experience, I guess. And then we came up to this idea, like, you know what, let's just, like, let's give it a go, and let's see where it goes. And we actually started like very, very humble and simple, with like spreadsheets and some basic scripting, believe it or
Mm-hmm.
not. And we were actually, that's how we were serving these leads, alongside with a bit of data intelligence, to our initial, I guess, early adopters. And obviously collecting feedback all the time, reiterating. But I guess the pivotal moment for us was, we had to decide, we had to go full time on this. Otherwise, we knew it wasn't going to work, because each one of us had previous experiences trying to do things part time. And it's really difficult to juggle these things.
Indeed.
So
Mm-hmm.
we joined this accelerator called Antler, which is the Y Combinator version in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, this is for us. If we go through this program, and it's going to work, and we get the initial investment, then this is a proof for us that it's worth, I guess, chasing, and keep building.
Mm.
So this is what we did. We joined. It was a pretty intense program. I think about 8 weeks. Um, Fortunately, we graduated. We got the initial investment. That proved us that okay, we're definitely onto something here. If we manage to convince other people,
Yep.
uh, and then things like rolled from there, and we raised another round of investment from angel investors, and we've been building ever since.
That's amazing. And I think I think there's a lot of things here to um, to be highlighted. First of all, you did the best thing, that you found a co-founder on Y Combinator, because that's the best place to find somebody who is on the similar lines of
Hmm.
being a founder, right?
Yeah.
I myself did my Y Combinator, but we didn't got successful, and then I came back to London, and then we started, creating this community and everything. Then you did Antler, which is amazing because I've been part of that for a while, and I keep interviewing people from Antler, Entrepreneur First, Nick, startup accelerator program in London. So all these founders coming from there, that tells me that they're doing something right, because they're connecting people who are brainstorming. And I have heard that it's a very extensive program. I've been in touch with quite a lot of antlers, ex antlers, to be honest. What I wanted to know more is, you so you are three founders together working. You had an experience with recruitment, or and then the other founder had an experience as a recruitment advisor. What's the third one? What was the third one's
So
role?
so the third one is Itamar. They actually used to work together actually
Okay.
in the same capacity. So it was like a company that was touching on recruitment space, and
Mm-hmm.
it was at that point where they had already started talking to people, investigating, seeing like okay, what else could we be doing. He's closer more to customer success and business development,
Mm-hmm.
Itamar, the third co-founder, and I guess that was their contribution. My contribution was more like on the technical side, so I had built systems like that before. I had built systems that take data, prepare it, like present it with intelligence behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was just this combination of different skill sets that put us together, and I guess get and try this idea really.
So you're the CTO, and then the other two partners you have, they're more into CMO and CEO side of it,
Yeah,
right?
so Itamar is the COO, and then Cameron, who used to be a recruiter, is the CEO.
Got it. Got it. Perfect. That's crafting a really good picture in my mind, like how your company is, formed in terms of different roles and responsibilities. That's really good. So let's talk a little bit about when you had this epiphany, when you guys were talking. Did you look into the market? Were there other products? What was going on at that time, and what did you came up with your research
Yeah.
that encouraged you guys to move forward with this idea?
Yeah, yeah. So I guess to start, like what gave us the idea to, I guess, to pursue this thing. So uh, business development was known to be challenging in the recruitment industry, and obviously especially after the pandemic, where things started going, I guess, south. It became more and more difficult to, I guess, to reach out to high quality and win high quality customers and win new business. So we knew there was a problem, and it was very well documented in by big players like Bullhorn, for instance, which is a big player in the recruitment industry, etc. So we knew the problem was there, and then I guess in terms of existing tools out there, so there were existing tools, but the problem was that they were generic cells, so they weren't necessarily focused on a specific vertical.
Hmm.
And from the interviews we had with other I guess recruiters in the space, we understood that they ended up buying a lot of like fragmented tools, so that each tool was doing a specific task, but they had to buy multiple tools to do the whole uh, to execute the whole workflow. And then we realized, okay, well, it's obviously there isn't obviously anything like that yet. So, and it's obvious there's obviously a need for it. And the gain for them would be obviously massive cost cutting, but also doing things more effectively, like shaving a lot of hours from their manual workflow. So I think,
Mm.
yeah, we definitely did the market investigation, but we also knew pretty much what the problem was, and we knew that you know there wasn't much like innovation happening in the space at the time. So I think this combination, um, yeah, put us, I guess, on the right track, and determined, made us like pursue this idea, I guess.
So you said the main pain points were here was around generating good quality leads and too much work.
Yeah.
So, and then I think the last point you mentioned also about as the industry is changing, there was too much pressure on the companies to like reduce the headcounts. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, so I guess there was, obviously during the pandemic, if you look, there was like a spike in the numbers, like number of vacancies. There were like the people, like the government's printed a lot of money, so there was an excess in terms of openings, vacancies. So back then, business development was I guess pretty easy. Like all you had to do is just like be present in a way, and then you would get and place your candidates. But obviously that thing, came to an end, and then with all these layoffs and everything, like people, like the market was suddenly flooded by candidates, but
Mhm.
also the openings became like more scarce. So because of that, recruitment agencies are forced and were forced to be more competitive with each other, and come like find, I guess, battle with other agencies to find, and whoever gets that customer first, that's the winner.
Mm.
So business development became quite competitive, and obviously we took advantage of that, because obviously there is a need, and the game basically, they have step up the game now. So it's if it was challenging up until now, it just became a bit more challenging. And yeah, I think that was the tailwind that we took advantage of.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so would you be able to take us through some of your numbers? For example, maybe can you give us a sense of the size of the business? Where are you in terms of number of customers, size of team, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're a small team. We're
Mhm.
It's five of us. So obviously the three of us co-founders, and then we have another engineer that's working with me, who's also a friend of mine,
Mhm.
and another data quality analyst who oversees, the data and issues. I guess raises tickets when something is off, and we need to
Mhm.
correct it. In terms of customers, yeah, I mean, we've grown really, like, I would say 7 to 8x in the last, I would say maybe 6 months. So
Mhm.
we've been enjoying like pretty good traction. We have like very exciting deals in the pipeline. So fingers crossed. But um, if things go well, probably will be exceeding the targets for the first half of the year. So things are
Mm.
going really well. We also were receiving a lot of like positive feedback about the platform. It's definitely solving the problem. Our clients like it. So the value is there.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, we're very happy with the results so far. But it's always like, there's always more that can be done, and we try to
Yeah.
we strive for that level of we have like a high bar, like a high standard bar, and
Definitely, definitely.
that we put for us. Yeah.
So what are the key demographics you guys operate in? Is it based in Europe only, or you also serve Western, like American customers or Asian
Mhm.
customers?
Yeah, so it's mainly UK. We obviously
Hmm.
want to, try to dominate the market in UK and US. We have a couple of like customers and potential deals in the pipeline from US.
Hmm.
Um, so I would say it's mainly the English speaking countries.
Hmm.
We saw that we got the best results there. So that's what we're focusing on right now. but we do obviously have plans to expand eventually, across Europe as well.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, let's take our listeners through a journey of how actually this process works. For example, I have a couple of friends who run some recruitment agency, right? So let's take an example. If they want to leverage Vente AI services, what's the process? How you onboard them? What kind of SOPs you have in the place? And then how they can get benefit out of it. And I would like to learn more about who is your ICP. Like, can somebody who started their recruitment agency today could leverage with your service, or it has to be somebody who has been in the business for a year, have like 10, 15 customers already there? So what's your ICP?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of questions here. So I'll try
Yeah.
to, hopefully I remember all of them. Starting from the ICP. So initially we started with like small companies, 1 to 5 employees,
Mm-hmm.
which obviously includes the people that are just starting in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
We also have like a couple of early adopters that are still with us, and they were in
Mm-hmm.
that situation. Um, we are trying to move now towards a bit closer to the mid-market section. So we're trying to target slightly bigger agencies, from anywhere from 10 to, I don't know, like I guess 30, 40 employees.
Mm-hmm.
But we are, we are open to help literally everyone, including the new starters. The way the process works, so obviously we'll have an initial call with them just to understand a bit more like what they're actually looking for, and then as part of the onboarding call, which is mainly led by my co-founder Itamar. So
Mm-hmm.
he'll sit down with them, he'll get to the bottom of he'll help them basically understand and configure their profile on Venti.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that happens, then they should start receiving qualified leads the next day in 24 hours. It takes us about 24 hours to get that data.
Mm-hmm.
And then we work with them, we have like occasional calls with them. We have like a second call with them after a week or so, just to see how they're getting along, if they're happy with the leads, do they need adjustments. It usually takes a couple of iterations until we nail the right the data for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, that's pretty much. So it's a pretty smooth process. It's pretty quick. It doesn't take long at all. Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned that the first step is to get them onboarded. The second
Mhm.
step is after 24 hours, they start getting leads. Um, do you guys help them converting the customers also? Or your work stops once they get lead and then it's their job to potentially convert the
We
customer?
do. We do occasionally. We do a bit of hand holding sometimes. Like I said, we try to to help people, and give as much value as we can. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously, our resources are quite limited, so we don't do a lot of hand holding. But we do have, we do offer our availability to, I guess, guide them on what they should be doing, how they should be doing things, just to get the best out of Venti.
Okay, so guidance and iterate through the lead generation process.
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of revenue models you have currently? Are you subscription based? Are you per lead based? How does it work?
We are subscription based, but we've recently also switched to a credit based model. So that means as part of your subscription, there is a number of leads that are allocated to you on a monthly basis, and if you
Mhm.
want to upgrade that, then you can always top up. But
Uh,
just to keep things simple, I guess, yeah, we are on a monthly based subscription.
okay, and would you be able to share with our listeners how much it cost typically?
Yeah, so I mean, it depends. If they sign up an annual contract, it's usually 59 or 69, depending on the requirements per month.
Hmm.
If they go quarterly, it's 79, and if they go monthly, it will be 99. Obviously, we structure it like that because we prefer longer contracts,
Yeah.
ideally yearly contracts.
Hmm.
but it varies. So it depends a lot on not every client is the same, so it depends a lot on what they're looking to get out of Venti, how difficult their ICP is, etc. So there are a couple of things that are factored in. Also, if they need hand holding, how much hand holding they need, etc.
Got it. And typically, how much, let's say if we go on the pro plan, £99 a month, how much typical leads you guys generate for your customers for that plan?
um well, I think it's like I would say 5 to 1
Hmm.
ratio. So yeah, I think that's from our like initial investigations. Obviously it's a bit difficult for us to, because it's hard for us to track when they make placements, but
Hmm.
we only rely on what they tell us. And so far, what they've been telling us, it will be like a 5 to 1 ratio.
Mm. And how do you deliver this lead? Do you like set up appointments for them, or you just send them an email and a contact number? What's the medium of doing it?
Yeah, so I guess the leads are generated on the platform. They receive notifications every time there are new leads populated in
Hmm.
their list.
Hmm.
And yeah, they have all the information they need in order to contact that company. So we give them information about the company itself, company size, what the vacancy is, where is located, who are the hiring managers, and
Hmm.
also, like I mentioned before, things about data intelligence, things like, for instance, is it a stress company? How likely is it to actually require help from a recruitment agency? Things like that. So it's all on the platform, and then also we integrate with like some of the most used systems in the recruitment.
Hmm.
We are building lots of integrations at the moment, so then they can actually push these leads straight to their systems.
Hmm.
um, yeah.
Cool, cool. That sounds really good. I might be able to get you one customer actually, because the details you have shared is relevant to the people I've been talking to, and when I take these interviews, I get to know about their business model. So something like that could happen in
Yeah.
future, depending upon how it goes. Great stuff. So Octavian, it's been really, really cool call. Let's move on to other part of our interview.
Hmm.
So, see, one of the biggest challenge in a founder's life is to get the initial traction. And you said that you got your funding from Antler. So I'm hoping that your first one or two customers just came from either your previous experience where you were working in the industry, or maybe Antler might have helped you to spread the word. But what did you guys do? How did you got your first 10th customer or 10 customers? And then I would also want to know more about what are the strategies you have in place to gain more traction and more customers now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we actually got our first paying customer shortly after we joined Antler. So we were
Hmm.
already working on this, actually before we joined.
Hmm.
How we got that? So it was really a combination of like networking and cold outreach. So we tried, email cold outreach. It was getting some results back then. Now with AI, and it got a bit saturated, so it doesn't work as good as it used to be.
Hmm.
But it was mainly really LinkedIn and I guess offline meetups. So that's how we got the first, I would say, probably the first few customers. And then there's also the word of mouth, which is
Hmm.
very interesting and important, especially in the recruitment space. So it's a pretty I guess good community in that sense, because the news gets out there like very quickly. So we
Hmm.
got people referred to us, and so the combination of all these things led us to to the first 10 customers. And they were mainly like I said, small clients, like either one man band or 1 to 2 employee. So
Hmm.
we started with like the smallest uh, company possible, which also like they are also like in need for quick and more and efficient business development, because they're just starting out. So they're looking for for their first customer.
Indeed, indeed. And what are the strategies you guys are using now to generate more business?
Yeah, so I think we are focusing right now a lot on LinkedIn. So loads of content. It seems to work really well. We are going to this Rec Expo event, which happens in March, which is a big event in recruitment industry. So we're hoping to connect there with a lot of people in the industry. And but I think that's right now that's it really. So it's just like networking, just
Mm.
networking, online and offline as much as you can.
As much as you can. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, great. So Octavian, tell us more about you because I didn't got to know you better. I'm eager to learn more about, you yourself. Like, can you take us back to your roots? Share with our listeners about your childhood, your upbringing. How did your early experiences shaped your journey to become an entrepreneur eventually? And were there any like that book called Rich Dad and Poor Dad? I don't know if
Hmm.
you've read
Yes.
it or
Yeah.
not. Were there any significant individual in your life when you were growing up which encouraged you to become an
Yeah.
entrepreneur?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I grew up in Romania. I grew up in Romania in a period where like it was post-communism.
Mm-hmm.
My parents, if we were to do the analogy with like rich dad, poor dad, they were more on the poor dad side because obviously in communism they grew up in communism literally and lived in communism. And there was no entrepreneurship there. Like it was just like it was punished, and there was no such thing. Like even to this day, my mom is struggling to understand really how capitalism works and what entrepreneurship actually is and risk taking and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what really helped us in my childhood was actually my dad. So my parents were both doctors, so they had nothing to do really with technology. But my dad was really passionate about like technology. Like he would get all these new things, cool gadgets. Like he would have them all.
Mm-hmm.
And he got us like our first computer. We got access to the internet, and then once I got access to the internet, then I started seeing and seeing what was basically out there. Like I remember I found out my brother and I we found out about Amazon. And it was at the time where Amazon had already moved and they were actually selling more than just books.
Mm-hmm.
And we were obviously fascinated, like, whoa, how can you actually order something on the internet? It was just unheard of.
Yeah.
And then I remember we tried to see if we can buy games, and for
Mm,
some reason, they weren't like we just couldn't ship anything in Romania back then.
mm,
So, and they were also very very expensive. Like all the items were very expensive. So my brother and I had an idea. Well, we found out a way to get games and actually put them on CDs.
mm,
um, and then we said like, well, why don't we just try to do something similar but in our neighborhood, right? Because there was a time, it was that time where like Romania was opening up to the world, and people were starting to see like, oh my god, there's like there's games you can actually play. I remember my first game like was the Need for Speed, and I was like, wow, you're in a car and it's like you can go anywhere you want. It was like so fascinating, right? And
yeah.
so then we started doing that, and we got, I think, about 20 or 30 people in the neighborhood and friends of friends that we were selling to. So I would
Mm,
say that was like our first, like very first venture. But then obviously my mom was like very on the very side of like, oh no, you need to stay in school. It's true, like our grades like went a bit south because we weren't paying too much attention to school anymore.
mm,
It was right before like going to high school, and then unfortunately we shut it down. But that thing remained in my mind. It was like, wow, you can actually do that. You can actually sell something, and you can sell it at scale. That how cool is that? So i
mm,
think i think that's plus obviously the whole exposure to your Jeff Bezos and Gates of the world, and seeing Larry Ellison, seeing what they did, and how they build these massive companies. um yeah, and I think this combination of factors like helped me like, wow, like this is really cool. Plus I grew up with like movies about America. I saw like how big everything was in America, like
mm.
prosperous. So yeah, I think these things really like affected me in a way,
That's really
in a positive
interesting.
way.
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting, and it's really fascinating to speak with you and talk about that there are people who actually don't understand how capitalism, or even, I don't know, is democracy is like connected to that thought process or not, because it's difficult, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's fascinating. So thanks, Octavian, for sharing this. There is another part in our interviews which I do, which is sharing and reiterating through what we have been discussing till now. So let's quickly actually go through what we have learned. Let me actually remove the banner so that at least we can see it. There you go. So just to reiterate, you did your find your first co-founder through the Y Combinator, and then you did an Antler startup accelerator program, where I'm guessing that you got three of you got together and then raised around 250K, and then that's where your journey started. You mentioned about what kind of things you guys do in house which generate high quality leads, for example business development and automation of workflows, data analysis and intelligence, data gathering and sorting, customizing, and the tailored solution. All these things combined lead to generating high quality leads for your customers. You also mentioned that there was when you were thinking about starting Vente AI, you did the research in the market where you found out that there was too much pressure in the industry for business development. Market was saturated and very competitive, and as well as there was too many manual tasks. So that all helped you understand that there is really a gap in the industry. So you mentioned about that when you started the company, you started with a very small ICP with one to five people. Now you're targeting more matured companies with 10 to 40 people, and potentially bigger startup. Very simple, straightforward onboarding process on Vente AI. You get a call with one of your founders. They understand the needs of the agency. They put all the required ICP details of your customers into the system, and that gets into the system, the engine. After 24 hours, it starts generating leads for your customers, and then obviously you do some hand holding and guidance later on to help the customers. Some revenue models, sharing subscription, you have also improved on top of it around the number of leads they would like to receive every month. You can top up it if you required. And then very generous plans you have starting from 59 pounds a month, which is really really good for starting up companies. And then at the end, you mentioned about the customer acquisition process. You started with networking and cold emailing, but now you majorly depend upon the LinkedIn and the events which you're looking forward to attend in near future. Is this everything what we discussed today? Is there anything else you want to mention before we move to the next part of our
No,
interview?
I think you summarized it great. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfectly spot on.
Perfect. Okay, great. So let's move to the next part of our interview then. We have six quick fire questions,
Okay.
and you can answer them as quickly as you can. If you don't find the question or you don't know the answer, just let me know and then we can skip to that question. Skip that
Okay.
question. Is that okay? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So let's get going. What are the top three strategies to generate leads for recruitment companies in 2025?
So I think again, networking is definitely the number one. Word of mouth. It's a human like it's a people's business really.
Mhm,
And so that's that's one part. The other part is actually trying to identify leads yourself and try to filter them, and this is where Venti actually helps people, because we take so much hours from their or we shave so much hours, so many hours from their manual work, because
mhm,
otherwise they would have to go explore, like search on the internet, search on LinkedIn, find all these bits of fragmented information, and then put them I guess distillate them put them together into a place and then actually start, uh, the actual, outreach. So I would say these, from what we see, this is what, our customers are using right now, and that's all I can think of right now, to be honest. Yeah.
No, that's perfectly spot on. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
Oh wow! Oh, definitely reach that for that 100%. I also recommend From Zero to One by Peter Thiel. I think it's a very good, it gives you very good insights on how innovation works versus like, yeah, it's just like how important innovation is to the world,
Mm,
and how why each company should strive to achieve innovation rather than just imitation.
got it, got it. What one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
Oh wow. I guess probably mental toughness. I would say is the number one.
Hmm.
Because if you need a lot of that, you need like you'll have like, low times, very low times. You'll doubt yourself. You'll question everything you do. So, but also you need to be very flexible. You need to be able to adapt quickly. You need to be able to pivot if necessary. You need to let go of things. Um, a lot of the times, and I'm very guilty of that, is wishful thinking. Like I want something to be true, although all the indicators are showing me otherwise. So you need to be able to let go of your, like, some convictions or some assumptions that might be wrong. And I guess, yeah, it's just like, number one is mental toughness for sure, for me anyway.
Hmm. Yeah, this has came into quite a lot of interviews that nowadays it's a myth that if you're a founder you're traveling in a private jet and in a Bentley, and it's just like it's not true. You have to be very strong from inside to actually tackle all these challenges which you might not face during your 9 to 5 job or something like that. So yeah, totally agree with you on that. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
I think I would lean more towards on habit. So I think I'm a morning person. So I like to, to start my day like early. And I think I like that quiet time, frame between, I don't know, 6 a.m. to 9 or 10 a.m. That's where I'm most focused, and I usually tackle the most difficult things first. So
Mm,
all the things, all the crappiest things that you don't want to do, those are the ones I tackle first. And to me, it works. It's painful, but I think it works very well, because once they're off my plate, then I'm more relaxed about the rest of my day. Yeah, I'm in a better mood because I know
mm,
I've tackled the crappiest things I had to do in that day. um,
mm.
with tools, like I like to, I mean, I don't really use like a lot of productivity tools because it just like it just drains a lot of my energy just to organize things into them and then just checking them. So I'm not really good at that. Probably, I'm leaning towards more like some sort of ADHD, I guess. But I like to, I mean, I have things structured very well in my head, and that's how I operate. So they're stored, and then I know exactly what to handle, or which thing comes next on my to-do list.
Got it. Got it. What's a new or a crazy business idea you would like to pursue if you had time?
Oh wow, crazy! Like how crazy are we talking?
You can go all sorts.
Well, I mean, it's just I'm fascinated by, obviously, by longevity, bioengineering, space exploration, asteroid mining. That's to me, that's super crazy. But I think, um, if I had like all the resources in the world, I would probably move all the industry that creates like the most CO2 for the planet, like outside. So basically, outside the orbit, and that's where all the industry, I think, for Earth would happen, right? All the processing, all everything that pollutes basically our planet. I know it's crazy, but yeah, I think that's what I would do. If we're talking about something more like down to earth, probably I guess a generic agent that is able to learn and learn everything you do on your day-to-day work, and then can do those bits for you while you sleep. So
Mm.
almost like have your an assistant that you teach everything you do, and then he just does it for you, and then you trust it to do it.
Yeah, that I think that's something I would love to use too, because sometimes I experience the burn too. So yeah, that's great. What's an interesting or a fun fact about you that most people don't know?
Interesting. I think I'm not sure. It's not really that fun, but interesting. So I almost died like twice in my life. Like I
Oh.
came very close to do that. So once it was in during a trip to Egypt, like which happened like a few years ago, and then the other one happened actually in London. But I would say I was closer to death in during my trip to Egypt, and
Would you like
I
to
just
share what happened? Because I'm going to Egypt soon, so I would like to
no,
hear.
it was like I guess like a par mistake from my side, but I almost
Mhm.
like drowned. I had like a panic attack, while I was swimming. So
Mm.
everything like went south very quickly. Once that happened, um, and it was very close, And then I guess I tell to myself sometimes like every day. I try every day to tell myself like you're so lucky to still be around here, so you should appreciate that more. And
Mm.
unfortunately, I take it for granted a lot, but yeah, it was really close. That was that was it still gives me the chills, like every time I think about it. So yeah.
Yeah, goosebumps now.
Yeah.
Great, Octavian. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It was amazing. Thanks for unpacking your years of building this business and then trying to solve this problem. If people want to check out Vente AI, or if they want to get in touch with you in person, like what's the best way to do it?
The best way is obviously our website, so venti.ai. See it right here.
Yeah.
And also you can drop a message to me on LinkedIn. You have my name, just search for my name. It's a pretty unique name, so you won't find a lot of like people with the same name.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, these are the two ways to, I guess, to get in touch.
Great. Octavian, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey, which your, the impactful work you're doing for the recruitment agency. I would have never thought something like this is available in the market myself anyway. So thanks for that. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on Founders Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Ash. It was great talking to you.
Thank you all for tuning into this episode of Founders Podcast. I hope you found our conversation with Octavian insightful and inspiring. Don't forget to go on Vente.ai or search for his name, Octavian Neguletu, on LinkedIn. If you want to get in touch with him, just ping me. I can always refer you to his profile and then get in touch with him. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe to our podcast and stay updated on our future interviews with proven founders and industry experts. Stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep building.